little story about a building in Fukuoka, Japan, here, where we built again, not the baker's tomb, but here are the little windows, not round this time, but square. We had finished this building in design, and the chairman came to me and he said, "We want to give something back to the city. They've given us the right," no, this isn't America, this is Japan. "They've given us the right to build on the land we own. They've given us very good conversation about what we could and couldn't do. We want to bless them in some wonderful way, and we want to give something back to them. Can you think of something we could build here, a monument of some sort?" I asked the city fathers, were there any artisans in town? Were there any artists in town? Were there places in town to show their work? Could we have, instead of an empty monument, could we have a room or a little building that could show the work of the artisans of this little Japanese village? And I said it was Fukuoka, it was Anjuku. I'm sorry if there are any Japanese in the audience. And so I made this little gallery here. You actually, this is Porte Cochere. You drive under here, you're let out, and you go park the car. And these are all executives here, so they really are let out, and the drivers stay there all day long. And then up a major stair inside. And if you want to go to look at the exhibition, go right back in here. We didn't want a lot of light, so this just opens up the light just at this height so you can walk up to it, see out. But if they show paintings in there, it's not, or drawings, it's not going to destroy the artwork. So we wanted to control the light, and that's the way we did it. But I showed you how I bring back a remembrance of the baker's tomb, and here's how it ends up. So you would never say, "Oh, that's the baker's tomb." It's really how you reinforce what you do with your work through the things that you've seen, and just whether it's putting feet on chairs or here in the temple of Nero, we find this wonderful structure. And in a little school in Washington for autistic kids, we made this corridor, and down the corridor on either side were their classrooms. I had somebody pulling on my sleeve the opening day, and it was one of the kids, and these kids are in very poor shape. And he said, in the best language he could muster, he said, "Mr. Architect, did you make this room for us?" The places cry. You can't help but be touched by what you do. And you never, I was making the best corridor I could make that day. I was making a corridor that had a certain ability to it, so that they would go off into their, what they call houses, with their own front doors and so on. And they would feel very special going into their house and graduating to the next house the next year. And then I show you, to clean all this up very quickly, some of the drawings I made of Rome and buildings that came after that. I made 4 hotels on the Red Sea. I'm not going to point to everything. Just, there's my drawing on the left, there's the Roman ruin it's from, and there's the lifeguard as he's patrolling. And here's the Arch of Constantine. It's really there to show you the scale of man at this point, the scale of the collective at this point, and this point. And then ganging 3 of them together. Name Washington after him, collective. And then when the arch was built over the top, enough for the whole city of Rome to gather in that room. Such a glorious, glorious building. Thank you. I promise I won't take much time with this, but I couldn't let tonight go by without you knowing that it isn't all just fun and games, but reluctant because I'd rather be playing golf, and expert because I got to be somebody who could put his own shoes on again. This was 7 years ago. I just want everybody to take care of themselves. I had a cold. I had a sinus infection. I went off to Europe to give lectures and to see 2 clients, and I came home paralyzed. So don't push yourselves too far, as I did. But here I am. Those of you who know the work of Mario Buata, I've teased him that he might have done this. But these are the kind of places that you find yourself. And it was here that somebody from CBS was doing a film. They said, "Did you really say this room was too ugly to die in?" That either the chintz had to go or you had to go. And I said, well, that was actually Oscar Wilde. It said that. But anyway, this is a marvelous room. You can do anything here. There are 3 potties over here in case you have trouble. You learn how to do those magnificent things. You learn it all again. You've seen this, but I show it to you here not because of the double heads up there, but because of my drain. No, Michael didn't show you a drain. Yes, he did. Here's a drain, and not a drop of water comes from this shower over to my bathroom on this side. It can't get by here without falling in the drain. So when you make a shower in a hotel or in your own house, you don't know that you're not going to be in one of these contraptions. So you might make it so that you can. And it doesn't cost anything, just a horizontal drain. Don't put a stupid drain in the middle because that's the floor. Put it out here. Okay, you've all shook your head, yes. Okay, good, you're going to do that. I've never designed a whole hotel, a whole hospital yet, but I was called into Tallahassee once when they couldn't get through the planning and design called the Beauty Commission. So they asked me to do the foreground and the porte-cochere and the lobby, but clearly they had already done the... So you know what you're going to get inside. Another health complex, the NovaCare Center, who fixes all the broken bones for the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is the Eagles home field there. And they get their muscles over here. And though this isn't a hospital, we now work with NovaCare doing these kind of facilities for sports injuries and that sort of thing. We're getting ever so much closer to the patient room. We did work for a group called, and it's important, this is an important lesson, but we did a group called Drive Medical. And we found out after only 5 years of not bringing these things to market that they really weren't the people that we should be working with. If you can build a building in 2 years, a year and a half, you could certainly do this rollator in 5 years. But this one was one that if you were taking this down, this is one of the ladies in one of Alfred's malls here, and she's pushing it along here, and she gets tired, she can sit down in it here. Or she can push the seat the other way, it's fabric, impregnated with plastic. Push it the other way, and she can sit on this side, and she can have her son-in-law push her there. And then she can have her decrepit old husband fold it up, and well, we go first, you know. And he puts that in the trunk of the car, and off you go. We made things like orange activates. We hid the wires that are tripping people. We did the simple things that if I told you what we did, you'd say, so? But that's what you get today from these medical companies. We did a chair that had to come in a box. Again, it had to have, I'm glad I'm on the left side, it had to have these little orange activate places there so that somebody 85 or 95 could put it together, could weigh an ounce or two, you could put it in the tub, and you could get your monthly bath. Weekly bath, sorry. Here's this cane that you're in that same Oak Hills Mall, and you get tired of walking, you take out your sunglasses and oh, and you can put your billfold away in here. If you get really tired, you unzip this down at the bottom, orange activates, and the cane falls out, and that's just the length of a cane. So again, 5 years from Drive Medical. Doesn't cut it. So here is the wonderful room that we have all been in. We'll again go to visit, go to be this lady who didn't mind my taking this picture. What she wanted to tell me was where this first orange circle is, where that rail is. She said, I can't even throw a tissue away. Well, I can't even reach my tissues. Here are the tissues. Here's the railing that's in that position because she's got the head of the bed up. Here's her basket over here. I said, well, even Shaq couldn't put it in over there. She's used every horizontal space as any nurse would. Here's the female urinal on top of the heater. Ooh. I don't want to be there. I didn't ask her why she had a male urinal here. What she does. She told me she gave up trying to watch television, even though they had put it on an arm for it. Every time the nurse came in, she gently put it back here on the wall, very much out of reach. This isn't science, folks. A little button on the side here could bring the television up close to you. That's all it takes. I was in 8 hospitals. One of them actually had a drawstring to turn the light on, which was broken every night when I used it. I was paying top dollar. So for Stryker, a wonderful company that we're working with in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a company that does get it, we're getting to start at the beginning, like the over-the-bed table. They said, don't put this on a diet, add more bells and whistles. It's the only way we can sell them. We did just the opposite. Since Minnie and I took one home that they had given us, we tried to use it for a week. She's 110 pounds. She couldn't push it. It was too heavy. The over-the-bed table is too heavy because it has 3 levels. I mean, you could make a condominium out of this thing. It was so stupid. So we did several other things. We made 2 places where you could put your stuff, your tissues, made a place where the nurse could pull it, could have your tray for lunch over here. The orderly could pull it over there. It would go up and down with ease. The one that they had, you had to stick your hand in, stick your hand down, and had to pull up to go down and pull down to go up. So it wasn't hard. And they're selling them like hotcakes. I tell you, it is the most gratifying thing. I call this R2D2, but they call it Concept 7. And here's the wastebasket, remember, with the errant wastebasket. This is where you hang, the nurse will hang the urinal, pardon me. And that's where you put your billfold and all of that, and you can see that it hasn't been stolen yet. But it will be. So be very careful. When they say, put this in a safe deposit box, do it. I lost. I didn't do it. I thought, nobody, no. My whole briefcase? It's got sketchbooks in it. You can put your overnight bag in there and hope that that's all the longer you're going to stay, because you're certainly going to get sick if you're there much longer. This was the innovation. a bariatric chair. Now, it doesn't look like somebody who's 500 pounds can sit in this, but they can. But getting out of this chair is the trick. See this fellow over here on the left? Obviously he's normal in build. He can scoot forward with his hands here. He can put his hands there and put his head over his toes. We call it nose over toes. If you get your nose over your toes, you have no weight on your arms, your legs, you're in perfect balance. Try it sometime. You can't get out of your bed this way or you'll fall over. But if you had something like that, those shepherd's crooks, you can do it. So that's all we did. And the nurses are loving it. Just that little move and other things like using proper fabric and so on so they can clean. And here are the things that we started with Stryker in a variety of woods and all of that. So that's going along swimmingly. This is my little rendition of a room. And there's Tuscany on the side. Oops. A project that's $5.5 billion is the last of the architecture. And it's 6 hotels, a maritime museum, a theme park by Universal, and retail, all done by moi. So we are busy doing that, but when that's finished, we'll be back looking. This is one of the guest rooms, and there's one of my paintings over the bed. And this is one of the sweet marbles. I didn't put the petals in the tub. And these are paintings for the rooms, niches, and more niches. Over the bed, over the check-in desk, more Corot. The china, which I ordered and just got, and this charger. Oops, you saw the whole ensemble there, but I know you don't want to go back. And the flatware, the glasses, and the restaurant's called Palio, so that's why the Italian Palio theme. We start with sketches from my sketchbook, then these plaster models are made, then glass or plastic models are made, and then the real thing. Vases for Sentosa in Singapore, and an alabaster lamp, the one with 3 columns, as a nightlight. And these are my Corots. That's the sketch of Nerni. And these are my first sheep. And here are shepherdesses. I'm so happy with them. And then I'm just going to finish with showing you what I'm involved in when I'm not doing architecture and product design, but starting to bring the paintings back. Corot gave me the impetus to do more. This is my Rome, not Corot's, and my Minerva Medica, and a little bust I bought in Rome after I was a fellow there, and a pot. And then these curious pictures, which I started with. Graham Beale took us through the DIA's African collection. I think it was this morning. It's one big blur now. And I wanted to see masks because of these African masks, because most of what I look at is Western Europe. So this is very occupying now. You don't have to like it. And I thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Graves, for your eloquence and thoughtfulness. In deference to time, because Mr. Graves and Mr. Taubman have to get out of here and leave.
The ice cream was dessert.
Yes, we'd like to invite you all now to a reception, again, as long as the food lasts. The auction is still going on, and we ask that you allow Mr. Graves and Mr. Taubman to leave at this point, because they do have another engagement after this. So we appreciate you all coming, and Mr. Taubman and Mr. Graves, thank you very much.